Every year, millions of people are arrested for various crimes they commit. Although most of these crimes are seen as simple momentary lapses in judgment, some are downright disturbing acts that chill us to the bone. More terrifyingly still are when the people responsible for these types of disturbing crimes remain on the loose, possibly walking amongst us or even living next door. Number 5. Born in London in 1934, Richard John Bingham was the son of George Bingham, the 6th Earl of Lucan. While attending college, Richard discovered a love for gambling that quickly turned into an addiction. He would often ignore his studies to place bets at the local horse racing track, and even ran a side business as a bookie. In 1954, Richard returned to London, where he started working for a local merchant bank named William Brant Sons and Company. There, he quickly befriended a man named Stephen Raphael, a wealthy stockbroker and skilled backgammon player. Together, the pair went on luxury vacations, where they would spend the vast majority of their time gambling. Although Richard was skilled in card games and would win regularly, he would also accumulate massive amounts of debt by gambling on games of chance. Not able to back his losses, Richard's family paid them for him. After a large win one evening, Richard announced he was quitting his job as a banker, stating, "Why should I work in a bank when I can earn a year's money in a single night at the tables?" In 1964, Richard married a woman named Veronica Duncan. 2 months after the wedding, Richard's father passed away, leaving him a large inheritance as well as his title. From then on, Richard was referred to as Lord Lucan. The couple would go on to have 3 children together. However, life for them was hardly ideal. Richard had officially become a professional gambler and a celebrity of sorts among high society. He would often throw lavish parties and was always seen driving expensive sports cars around town, all the while flaunting money he simply didn't have. Meanwhile, due to the stress of their financial situation and Richard's abusive behavior at home, Veronica's mental health began to quickly decline. In 1972, the couple separated and a nasty custody battle for their 3 children ensued. Richard moved out but maintained a close watch on the family home. He went as far as to hire private detectives to spy on Veronica in the hopes to prove that she was an unfit mother. However, the courts found no evidence to support these claims, and Veronica was awarded custody of the children. In the summer of 1974, Veronica hired a 29-year-old nanny named Sandra Rivet to help care for her 3 children. On November 7, 1974, Sandra was attacked in the basement of the family's home. Hearing the commotion, Veronica went downstairs to investigate, only to be attacked herself. When the pipe welding man spoke, she immediately recognized the voice to be that of her ex-husband. After learning that Sandra had not survived the vicious attack, Veronica escaped the house and ran to a nearby pub, where she reported what had happened. Richard left the home immediately, taking his children to his mother's house before borrowing a car from a friend that was later found abandoned. Richard remains the prime suspect in Sandra's death. Sightings of him have been reported in France, New Zealand, and even South Africa. However, Richard has never been found. If you or anyone you know has information about Richard John Bingham, you're urged to contact the London Metropolitan Police on 101 or contact Crime Stoppers anonymously at 0800-555-111. Number 4. On March 19, 1960, 25-year-old James Ken was found shot inside of his Missouri home that he shared with his wife, Sharon, and the couple's 2-year-old daughter. That day, a distraught Sharon recounted to authorities the tragic event. She explained that after cleaning his gun, James had placed the weapon on the nightstand and laid down for a nap. While Sharon was busy putting on makeup, the daughter stumbled onto the .22 caliber gun and fired it once, striking James in the back of the head. With no reason to suspect foul play, James's death was ruled accidental. Shortly after her husband's death, Sharon began an affair with a married man named Walter Jones. A short time into their relationship, Sharon demanded that Walter leave his wife to be with her. When Walter refused, Sharon retaliated by calling his wife 23-year-old Patricia Jones. Sharon told Patricia that her husband was having an affair with her sister and had gotten her pregnant. She offered to meet Patricia in person to discuss the matter, and she agreed. However, the following day, Patricia was nowhere to be found. Concerned for his wife's safety, Walter immediately filed a missing persons report. Sharon was questioned and informed both police and James that she had last spoken to Patricia the previous evening to tell her about the affair. She claimed that after the conversation, she had dropped Patricia off and saw her last talking with a man in a green truck. Once again, police had no reason to suspect Sharon was lying. To solidify her innocence, Sharon, along with another boyfriend of hers named John, volunteered to aid in the search for Patricia. Only hours later, Sharon and John found Patricia's body about 1 mile outside of a town near a secluded lover's lane. She had been shot multiple times with a .22 caliber gun. Sharon asked John to not tell the police she'd been with him when they found Patricia. However, John immediately told them the truth. Soon after, Sharon was arrested and charged with not only the murder of Patricia, but the murder of her husband James as well. Sharon was tried for the first murder of Patricia. Known for being extremely charismatic, Sharon quickly garnered sympathy from the all-male jury, and after less than 2 hours of deliberation, Sharon was acquitted of her charges. However, Sharon's trials were not over yet, and she was ultimately found guilty of murdering James. For this, she received a life sentence, but in 1963, the Missouri Supreme Court overturned her conviction on a legal technicality, and Sharon was released on bond. While on bond, Sharon fled to Mexico with a man named Francis. Once there, Francis and Sharon rented a room at a less than reputable motel. When their finances began to dwindle, Sharon took it upon herself to try to make some quick money. On the evening of September 18, 1964, Sharon met a man named Francisco Ordonez at the motel's bar. A short time later, an employee of the motel heard shots fired in Francisco's room. As he opened the door, Sharon fired again, this time at the employee, striking him in the shoulder. Sharon claimed that the shooting had been in self-defense. However, police did not believe her story, and she was arrested. Sharon was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 13 years in prison. After serving less than 5 years, however, Sharon escaped during a blackout through an unguarded window and has never been seen again. If you or anyone you know has information about Sharon Kin, you're urged to contact Independence, Missouri Police at 816-325-7300. Number 3. On August 8, 1931, the Berlin-Basel Express train derailed en route to Berlin, Germany. Many people were injured in the accident, but miraculously, there were no deaths. Investigators quickly discovered evidence that someone had used explosives to disable the tracks, causing them to derail. The discovery of a piece of defaced Nazi propaganda found at the scene led them to believe the sabotage had been politically motivated. What investigators didn't realize was a single individual was responsible for the derailment, and he wasn't finished yet. On September 13, 1931, 22 people tragically died, and more than 100 others were seriously injured when the Vienna Express train plunged from a railroad bridge near Budapest, Hungary. Investigators discovered someone had placed sticks of dynamite inside several brown suitcases on one of the bridge's viaducts. The weight of the train caused the dynamite to explode, collapsing the bridge and sending the train into the ravine below. A man at the scene of the crime, claiming to be a surviving passenger from the wrecked train, was identified as Sylvester Matuska, a mechanical engineer, miner, and explosives expert. Although he seemed highly suspicious, investigators had no evidence that he was involved in the derailment, and they were forced to release him. They did, however, continue to investigate Sylvester, and 1 month later, he was arrested in Vienna. Sylvester confessed that he was the one responsible for the train derailments in both Germany and Hungary, claiming that the act gave him intense satisfaction. He also admitted to attempting to derail 2 other trains in Austria. Sylvester was first tried in Austria and later extradited to Hungary. He was found guilty and sentenced to death. However, the sentence was commuted to life in prison. Sometime between 1944 and 1945, Sylvester escaped from prison. Some reports indicate that he may have gone on to serve as an explosives expert during World War II. However, Sylvester was never recaptured and his whereabouts remain unknown to this day. If you have any information about Sylvester Matuska or his whereabouts, you're urged to contact Interpol at 1-202-616-9000. Number 2. In Japan, vending machines are quite popular. They appeal to consumers with a vast array of items that are not found in your typical vending machine. From ice cream to live insects and everything in between, these quirky machines sell almost anything. However, not all carry unique items. Some dispense your everyday snacks such as chips, cookies, and of course bottled drinks. It was these bottled drinks that in 1985, an unknown person began placing a lethal poison, resulting in the deaths of 12 people and the hospitalizations of many others. The poisonings began in Hiroshima, Japan on April 30th, 1985. On that day, a man purchased a popular fruit drink called Oronamen C from a vending machine in a secluded area. To the man's surprise, a second unopened bottle of the fruit drink sat perched atop the machine. Believing it was his lucky day, the unsuspecting man consumed the beverage, only to fall violently ill. Tests revealed that the man had ingested paraquat, an herbicide commonly found in products such as weed killer. Medical staff did their best, but tragically, the man passed away less than a month later. Police investigated the case and ultimately determined it was most likely an isolated incident. Then in September, it happened again. A 52-year-old man fell violently ill after consuming a bottle of Oronamen C, which he'd gotten from a vending machine. Tests once again confirmed that the man had been poisoned with paraquat. Sadly, he passed away only 3 days later. The poisonings didn't stop there. That same month, a 22-year-old college student fell victim to the vending machine killer after ingesting a tainted bottle of Oronamen C before suddenly passing away. By the end of the month, 3 more people had died, all as a result of the same poisoning. During this time, Oronamen C ran a promotional campaign offering a buy one get one free deal on their bottled drinks. When a person would buy one of their qualifying products from a vending machine, a second would drop as well. Oftentimes, when someone would receive a second bottle and didn't want it, they would leave it inside of the slot or on top of the machine for the next person to have. Investigators believed the person responsible for the poisonings was using this to their advantage. Vending machine companies and police began placing stickers and signs on the machines, indicating for people not to take any beverages found near the machines. However, even with the warnings in place, by the end of October, 4 more people had died after ingesting the tainted beverages, and many more had been hospitalized. In November, 2 more people, one being a 17-year-old girl, passed away from paraquat poisoning. Suddenly, the poisonings came to an abrupt halt, stopping as quickly as they had started. A full investigation was conducted. However, with few clues and little evidence, the identity of the vending machine killer remains unknown. Number 1. On the morning of April 10th, 2001, police in Scottsdale, Arizona began receiving reports that a home occupied by Robert Fisher, his wife Mary, and their 2 children had exploded. Firefighters arrived on scene to discover Mary and the 2 children deceased inside. However, Robert was nowhere to be found. What initially appeared to be a tragic accident quickly turned into a much more sinister plot, when it was revealed that both Mary and her children had been killed before the home had exploded. Furthermore, investigators discovered that the explosion had been caused intentionally by someone who had tampered with the house's gas line. After questioning several neighbors, investigators learned that on the evening before the explosion, a loud argument could be heard from inside of the home. Family also informed investigators that the couple's marriage had been on the rocks and Mary had recently asked Robert for a divorce. When police failed to locate him, Robert became the prime suspect in the deaths of his wife and children. Robert was last seen on an ATM camera withdrawing $280 in cash on the evening of the murders. Seen in the background of the video is Mary's missing Toyota 4Runner. The vehicle was later found abandoned in a forest near Payson, Arizona, nearly 100 miles from Scottsdale. A nationwide search for Robert quickly ensued. However, he has never been found. Robert is described as being 6 feet tall, weighing 190 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. He's known to be an avid outdoorsman, hunter, and fisher. Robert may walk with an exaggerated erect posture and his chest pushed out due to a previous lower back injury. He should be considered armed and dangerous. Anyone with information about Robert is urged to contact the Scottsdale, Arizona police at 480-312-5000. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.